What's up? What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Hey, Sean, what's up, girl? How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing just good. How was your weekend? How was your week?
Busy, 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 busy.
What's up, ladies?
I'm sorry. Hey, what's
Hey,
up? How are you?
going on, chilling. Figured I'd make my guest appearance. I'm always in the shadows, so I figured I'd come around, let the audience see what I look like, what I sound like, and here I am. But I'll be dipping off in a minute. But how y'all weekend? Y'all ready for Easter Sunday,
I am definitely ready.
Well,
Resurrection Sunday?
Resurrection
resurrection. He is
Sunday.
risen. Amen.
Mhm.
Amen.
I
Amen.
know that's right.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow, even though all my children are grown and I won't have my granddaughter this weekend. But hey, I'm still gonna get up and praise him and thank the Lord
I
for
know
the
that's right.
time. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely,
That's the
definitely.
most important thing because I'm quite sure your purse looks better than mine.
Hey, and how about we now have the first African American female Superior Court Justice?
Yes,
Pretty dope. Yeah, right.
Yes,
Yes, that's
yes.
a good look right there.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, of course, we want to welcome everybody back that's been, rocking and rolling with us for what, 2 months, 3 months now. So, again,
Welcome.
yes, and thank you for being here. As always, we got a wonderful show for you guys today. We got Miss Shamari Bissett with us. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. If I did, I'm so sorry. With us, and we're going to get into the different levels of intimacy and how to build intimacy into a relationship. But before we get into all of that, we have to pay our bills. So let's have a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Welcome to Empire Marketing, where we launch your ideas into empires. Looking for the very best deal for a quality website, affordable hosting, or a one-stop online marketing streamline solution? Our range of services will enhance your business goals. Our certified staff will work with you and your business to build a solid brand, starting with eye-catchy and easy-to-remember logos, video presentation, 3D animation, music for your presentations, voiceover actors. Our professional team has years of experience in providing the most professional graphic design and marketing services at the most economic rates. Let us increase your website conversion rates with lifelike artificial intelligence support staff and sales reps, standing by to answer your questions 24 hours 7 days a week. Audio Jungle.
Oh, and we're back. We're back. We're back.
We're
So
back.
yes, so we are going to do the Sean Speaks and now, and we would like to introduce to you our guest speaker, Miss Shamari Bissett. Bissett. I'm sorry, I'm just messing up your name all kinds of ways.
So please let her say it herself.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's Shamari Brissett.
Bissett. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And again, thank you so much for being here. We are honored to have you here.
Definitely.
Um, I'm
Thank
just
you.
excited about everything right now. We're gonna do the letter. Well, we have to. I'm sorry. Let me get it. This one is for Sean Speaks, and let me see. I just opened it. It was in my email, so I have to go back to my email and get the letter. Okay. Mm, all right. Oh Lord, what did I do
But
with
while she's getting a letter,
yes?
I heard you are from Well, let me make sure. I just know you're from a different time zone. So are you from the West Coast?
Yeah. Yeah, so I live in Vegas right now.
Oh, go
Um,
ahead now.
yeah, I'm from here, but
Okay.
I'm here now.
Okay. Okay. I know it's totally different. Like here, I don't know, you may have schizophrenic weather there too. Like one day is winter, one day is summer, um, one day is spring. Is the weather doing that there?
I mean, it's not as bad, I guess. But it was pretty cold just maybe last week. I think it was like maybe 40, and that's not normal, I don't think,
No,
for
that's not.
April. So,
Okay.
so it was
Exactly.
definitely a lot cooler, and it's warming up again. So yeah, it's a little bit just not the extreme. It doesn't snow. It's not freezing, but it's cold sometimes.
Okay. That's good.
Let me say, I love your earrings. Those are
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, dear Sean, my boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year, and I love him so much. But sometimes I feel like maybe he's a little intimidated by me sexually. I am bisexual, which is something he said turned him on. I also have a little more experience with sex. Not a hoe, though. Okay. I have tried to get him to experiment with me in the bedroom, but he refuses. Okay. Leaving me feeling unfinished a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy our love and intimacy, but I'm afraid I may get bored in the bedroom before he gets to the point where he wants to open up and experiment with me. Help. I need some freakiness from my man. Wow.
That
Whoa,
is a loaded letter.
that's very, very loaded.
And woo,
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin because um, the reality is that intimacy, as we know, is so many things. And I know you said you enjoy the quality time, but it's the sex that you all are missing out on. And so I guess I would ask you, the first thing I would ask is, did you all talk about um, sex prior to? And if you did you explain all of the things that you were into? The second thing I would ask would be, um, when you're talking about sex now, do you tell him, I know you don't want to hurt his feelings, do you say, hey, um, you don't want to try this, but I do, and I'm becoming, you're gonna have to be honest, I'm becoming a little bored. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, I know we don't want to hurt his feelings because you say he's a nice person and you love him. But at the same time, if you know within yourself you are feeling like you may get bored, which then to me equates you may step out, because when we become bored or we feel like something is lacking sexually or within our intimacy, no matter what it is, that's what opens the door for a relationship. So if you ask me, I would say the key to getting him, and maybe even doing different things like maybe role playing or spicing up the atmosphere, and then trying to coerce him into doing different things as opposed to asking and saying, can we do this? Maybe turn on the music and then you turn, and yesterday you were Shawanda and today you Shaniqua. You know, change your wigs, do some different things, but you may have to do different things in order to maybe get him to go someplace you want him to go that he's not willing to go.
Mm.
Yeah. Shamari, which thing?
Mhm. I mean, it's a lot because it's difficult because when the sex is not what you want it to be, it feels like it's a bigger issue than what it really
Mhm.
is. Like
Mhm.
we know that's not the most important thing in a relationship, but when you're not getting it the way you want it, then it feels so big and so consuming. So
Yes.
typically, what I suggest is like expressing what you want, yes, and being careful how we express this because sometimes,
Yes.
especially if we're more experienced and we've done
Mhm.
all these different things, it can be intimidating to someone who he don't know nothing about that. Like maybe he's never tried it, and maybe he's afraid that he's not going to be good at it. So really, just explaining why you like it or what it is that you're interested in about it. Like this would be exciting because I like when I feel this way, or I like when I can submit to you, or I like when you're more aggressive. Like just explaining why, and then maybe also trying to figure out why he's afraid. Like I said, if it might be because he doesn't think that he would do it as well as you expect because he's never done it. And it could be fear based. It might not be that he doesn't want to do it. It's just that he has a worry about the perception of it. So I would try to see why. And then that might open the door because if he explains that he's just worried, we can learn together because even if I've done it before, I've never done it with you. So it's going to be different. It's my first time,
That's true.
essentially. So, yeah, I would say try to figure out why. And yeah, just experiment, try different things, maybe starting smaller. If you're trying to do something that's in kinky and he's just not there yet, maybe something simple as changing the scenery, changing the location, changing positions. That might be easier to start that in that direction.
Okay, so I mean, I think this was a great way to just segue into the whole intimacy thing. I think the thing that would scare me would be if her being bisexual turned him on in the beginning, and now that they're together, and now he's intimidated by it. How does one approach that? Where how does something turn you on in one vein, and in another vein, it's oh, I'm scared of that, or he's intimidated by it. Is that his psyche or
Well, it could be many times when people, and if they started engaging in a threesome, I don't know if that's how far it went, but if it went where they opened their relationship where all three of them were in the bed at the same time, that could be what caused the intimidation as well, because maybe he saw her respond to the other partner differently, or maybe in a way in which he felt he wasn't able to make her respond. Like she said, he never lets her finish. So if they did get to that point, and in order for that to turn him on, I'm quite sure they were in the room together, because that was probably how he was able to see what turned him on. But then I don't know, he might have just asked her the question, and then just the mere fact of her being bisexual turned him on. And
mm.
so,
So
um,
are men really turned on by women that are bisexual?
some men are.
Yeah, I mean, I think because men are visual creatures, and I think sometimes maybe the reality set in. Like it's cool when because if I watch porn, maybe they're into porn, or maybe they're into like seeing it like visually. That's exciting, and they're visual creatures, so maybe that's arousing to him. But then when it's real, like this is the person I want to spend my life with, or even if it's I'm spending my time with you for right now, I don't want to have to think about the fact that you would potentially want to share yourself with anyone else, whether that's a man, a woman, or otherwise. So I think sometimes when it becomes a reality, it's different than the fantasy of it. Like, oh, it's cool. Oh, she's bisexual. That's sexy. But when she might actually act on that, it's different.
Ooh, wee. Yeah, that one was a good one there. Because I'm like over here, wait a minute now, hold up. So I don't know. Hopefully that gave her some idea of where to go or what to do. And there is another one. It says, dear Sean, first let me say I love your smile. Second, I am a 36-year-old man and I've been in a relationship for about 3 years. And I told my girlfriend I have a high sex drive and she does not. I don't want to cheat on her, so what should I do?
That's kind of similar to the last one. It's again, you
Yeah.
know, when you when you all get together, we always talk about so many things, and I think it's so important to talk about sex. I think we like to talk about everything, and sometimes when it comes to sex, you don't talk about it, and that's important. If you have a high sex drive and your partner could have sex once a month and say, whoo, yeah, that was good, then that's a problem, because that means you may be one who wanted every day, and then she feels like that's too much. You just that please stop pulling on me. So that's something that you're going to have to communicate, and you may have to compromise. If you're not willing to compromise, if she's not willing to compromise, then maybe the relationship won't last. But hopefully you all could sit down and talk about the fact, like, you talk about your needs. I need and I want sex more than what you are giving it to me, and vice versa. She can talk about, um, why she feels satisfied with not having as much sex. Um, I think though, all of these relationships questions that we had tonight seems like sex is the focal point, and I want to make sure that we don't miss somebody that we really really care about because we're focusing on sex. However, I do understand if you decide you want to be with somebody for a lifetime, you would want to enjoy the sex. So I mean, I just don't want us to forget that you might have a great person and that's the only area that they're lacking in, and maybe you might need, maybe y'all could go to a sex therapist or something, or and all types of things. It's all kind of things out there. It's YouTube, it's Google, it's everything out there these days that you all can try to figure out different things.
Or
Mhm.
they can see an intimacy coach, right, Shamari?
Oh, that's true.
Right,
Yes.
Shamari? I mean, you could.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
this is so.
And
yeah,
I'm glad,
or
huh? Go
that's
ahead.
the either or. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So um, I'm glad you said that. Where it seems like it's sex, because a lot of people think sex is intimacy. And people, like you say, there's not enough conversation about intimacy and the different types of intimacies and the different levels, which is why we have Miss Shamari here with us, so that we can open up that whole thing. Because
Yes.
maybe if you're intimate on another level, then the sex will be just as explosive and just as good. But if there's no real intimacy, then sex becomes just sex. Am I right or am I wrong? Am I missing?
I think that's true, but let's let our coach tell us.
Yes, I mean, yeah, sex obviously is an intimate thing, right? So it's a part of intimacy for some relationships, but it's definitely not the only thing, or even the most important thing, I would say. And a lot of times people do get that misconception when you say, "Oh, we're intimate," or "I'm trying to increase intimacy." People automatically think that it's sex, and sometimes it's not that. And sometimes we think that we want sex because we want to feel intimacy, but we could very well be satisfied with a different type of intimacy. We just don't know because maybe we haven't done it and we haven't devoted our time to fostering that. So we think that, okay, sex is the easiest way that I can get this feeling, but it's not the only way.
Okay. So, I was, for me, right? I'm not a real sexual person. I'm more of an emotional type person. And my girlfriends and I were having a conversation a couple of years ago. Um, you know, in our culture today, we do a lot of online dating, right? There's all these dating websites. And sometimes when people are on the phone and they're talking day and night, and they make a connection that's absent of sex. It's a mental thing. And so the conversation we had was, what would you be more leery of? Your man just having sex with a woman, then just going out to have sex with him, or your man sitting on your phone talking to a woman day in and day out, night and day, and just concern and worry, whatever. And my question would be, oh, I would be more upset and hurt behind my man if he was sitting on the phone talking to some woman. every day, all day long, because there's you care. You're not like just going to her house. It ain't no booty call. You're not going over there, getting it in and leaving and not talking to them again until you feel like you need that itch scratched again. You on the phone with this person every day, all day. When they're not feeling well, you calling them, they calling you. So there's emotional and a mental connection that is so greater than you just going out here having sex with somebody just because, right? So
Mhm.
that was, I'm sorry, somebody just asked a question. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was our conversation. So that's that's like an emotional level of intimacy. Can we open that package up and talk? Okay.
I think that a lot of women would say that, and I say women because we are just
You're emotional.
yeah, we're more emotional, we're more nurturing, we're naturally that way, but
Mhm.
also obviously society kind of makes us that way, like the way that we're raised and treated, like we're kind of forced to be in tune with that. And so we value that emotional connection. We value connecting with a person outside of just being physical. And I think that not I don't want to say all men would say the opposite, but a lot of men they express themselves physically more so than emotionally because they're not taught to be emotional. They're not taught how to express themselves. So for them, if their woman were to go out and be on the phone with a man every night, they might not feel as strongly about it as most women would. They would probably be more upset if she shared her body with this person.
Mhm.
So I think that most women probably definitely would say just emotionally because that's how we kind of know ourselves and know the strength of a relationship is through the emotional aspect.
Mhm. Okay.
And I definitely agree. I'm all there with Nisi. I would rather you just, have a sexual encounter, but I would rather
Mhm.
you not do anything.
Right, right.
Let's just put that out there.
You have
I
to
don't
do
want you
something.
to do anything, but
Right.
I would not want you to have that emotional connection because I feel like that draws you in. And then, as we talked about, how when you're so emotionally connected, then even the intimacy as far as sex could be
Mhm.
on a different level. So
Hmm.
I don't want you to be that connected that then when you get to that sex, it's on a different level also. No, I don't want that.
Hmm.
I don't want that either because see, then I might have to catch a case, be doing 5 to 10 or something. Because I'm like, you was just supposed to go over there and knock some boots and come on home, man. What's wrong with
Well, you
you?
were supposed to come straight home. Let's
I'm
just
home. So wait. I have to ask because I've been eyeballing that book behind you. Is that your book? It says better sex. Oh, hold up.
I mean, that's the workbook to my course. The course is
Okay.
called Better Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, and Orgasms Without Faking.
Oh,
And
wait a minute. Wait a
that's
minute. Say that title again. Wait a minute. What's that title want
Better
to say?
Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, and Orgasms Without Faking.
Without faking. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm. I might want to take that course.
Hmm. And so that's just the workbook that goes along with the
Okay,
course.
so there's a book, or you do is it virtual? Is it in person?
Yeah, yeah, it's an online course. And so part of it is like the videos and lessons that I kind of present. But then there's also the workbook that you can download, you can print it out. But it's also a PDF that you can just fill out electronically. But there's activities, it's like 85 pages. So there's activities to kind of take you through increasing your confidence so you can feel sexy, you can feel strong, and you can be confident in your body, not only how it looks, but how it functions. It talks about boundaries, communication, so that you can improve your relationships. Because, like we just said, like the more that you're increasing your intimacy, the more you're able to be vulnerable and connect. Usually, the better the sex is going to be. So then, we also talk about sex and ways that you can find pleasure. Because I feel like a lot of women don't necessarily know 100%, like the example when the woman, she said that she's not allowed to finish. So if we're having these experiences where we're not even getting what we want out of it, how can we make that happen? That's basically what the course focuses on.
Oh, okay. And if somebody wanted to take the course, they could just come to your website. Well,
Yeah, so my Easy Tree has all of my links. So you'll see the course there. You'll see all the other stuff at the bottom. I have a few freebies. So if you want free stuff, there's a couple of things. And then I have like all my social media linked there. So if you want to follow me on social media, sometimes I do sales and things like that for the course. So you would want to kind of follow me to make sure you can catch that. If you're interested in buying it, you want to get a deal.
oh, okay. So we have another question from a listener. They say, "Do you think two people with the same high sex drive um dangerous towards the relationship?" Wait, I don't understand what they're saying. Hold up. What is it saying? Do you think two people with the same high sex drive dangerous towards the relationship?
So in what way? Like, do you mean like that? Is it harmful for people to have a high sex drive in a relationship?
I'm going to assume that that's what
That's
they.
what right. That's what I was thinking they were
Yeah,
trying.
I think they're trying to say if two people both have a high sex drive, could that be dangerous for the relationship?
Okay. Not necessarily. I always say whether you're having little or a whole lot, the amount of sex that you have is not an issue unless it's an issue for you or your partner. So if you have sex one time a year and you're happy, then it's not a problem. If you have sex 10 times a day and it's not a problem, it doesn't interfere with your well-being, so that's like you being able to go to work, pay your bills, take care of your kids or whoever else. Like if you're not messing up any other area of your life, like there's no issue with it. So I would say that as long as it's not negatively impacting any other area of your life, it's really not an issue. I would just say um, making sure that you're both genuinely on the same page. Sometimes, especially women, unfortunately, give in to advances from their partner, and maybe they weren't feeling that way, but they want to experience that, or they don't want to turn them down. So just making sure that you're both genuinely on the same page. If you are, and you guys like it, then to keep it going. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Average is maybe like 2 times a week. So anything more than that is above average. So good job. Like I think
I have a
We
question regarding that 2 times a week. So would that be an average where you can say that's a safe borderline between inadequate amount during the week versus someone that is hyperactive in their sex life? So
I mean, when I say average, that's like across all types of people, right? So there's going to be all types of people from the 18 to however old, like because 80-year-olds still get it in. So like this is all types of people, all types of backgrounds, all cultures. And so when just like when they say the average penis size is 5 inches, like if you've seen a lot of penises, then like right? So it's an
okay.
average of everything possible. So I would say that I wouldn't necessarily measure myself up to that. Like I said, if you only want to do it 2 times a week and you're happy with that, and you think that I'm great, our relationship is great, I'm satisfied. Because if you're doing it 2 times and it's not satisfying, then that's still a problem, right? So
Right.
I wouldn't
That's like
necessarily
one time.
I wouldn't like I wouldn't necessarily look at the numbers specifically. It's more so how you feel about it, the behaviors that result from it. So if it's unsatisfying, or if you're just doing it out of obligation, or if you're using it to avoid other things, then that's when I would kind of be like, maybe that's something more like hypersexual, using it as a coping skill rather than I just like to do it.
Mhm. Well, I think that's the census. Well, maybe I'm correct, maybe I'm incorrect, but the census is that there are more women dissatisfied with the reciprocal process of intimacy, and they're feeling shortchanged. So, what would you recommend that guys do to step their game up and and make sure that they're leaving everyone satisfied.
So
Every woman.
Well,
Hold on, wait a minute. What did you say?
He said every.
Did you say every woman?
He did say every.
well, let's matter of fact, so let's say everyone you come in contact with.
What?
okay.
I think you should
You want
stop.
to take it there?
Stop. Stop. Okay? Stop it.
Right. No, I would say because there is an orgasm gap, and like about 60% of women fake orgasms. A lot of women don't have orgasms during heterosexual sex. So there is a gap. There are women who are just not getting satisfied, and that may be impacting their desire to want it. So if you're in a relationship and your partner, they haven't expressed that they've been this way for life, so maybe they've never had a high sex drive, maybe they've never been interested. That's fine, there are people that are like that, but sometimes it's because they're not enjoying the sex that they have. So I have no desire to do something I'm not going to enjoy. So it's definitely important to take a step back. Sex should not necessarily be about just yourself, at least in my belief. If you're in a relationship where you are committed and you want to be close to this person, you want them to enjoy it, so putting in all efforts to make sure that they're having a good time. So asking what they like. Most women do need clitoral stimulation, so if you're not doing that already, that's something that you should be doing, and making sure that you're incorporating that in some way. If it's something where you need to incorporate toys or additions in order to make sure that it happens, just making sure that you're prioritizing it, because I think that sometimes, especially if it's casual, men are not necessarily thinking about, oh, is she having a great time? They're just like, oh, I'm about to get some and I'm going to do this and it's going to feel like this and then it's going to be great and then I'm done. But just having a second thought, like, okay, I'm going to have a great time, but is she having a great time too? Like, what can I do to make sure that she's feeling what I'm feeling?
What do you think? That's those are great points. I have a question. What do you think are great ways for a man to introduce toys into the bedroom without feeling inadequate in regards to pleasing his partner?
I would say definitely if you're having sex with anyone, I hope that you have some sort of conversation beforehand. So I definitely think that it's important, as Sean mentioned earlier, just having these conversations, asking kind of what it is that you're interested in, what type of touch they like, because some people like different types of touches, some people have different types of fantasies, and we don't necessarily readily give this information. So you will have to share some things about yourself in order to get that reciprocal sort of relationship, that communication, but just kind of sharing what you enjoy, what you like, the type of touch you're into. Maybe, I know we always ask, like, what's your favorite position, but like, how do you want to be touched?
Right.
What do you want to feel? Not just, okay, what position you like. You like it fast or slow? Like, it has to be a
Right.
more
More than
in-depth
that. Yeah.
conversation than
Right.
that. And then asking how they feel about toys, if they've ever used the toy. There are some women who have not. I know we all talking about the rose, but like some women haven't used one, so they just don't have that thought. So asking how they feel about it, if they've ever used one before, and if they have, ask them if that's something that they want to bring along. Like, just letting them know that it's okay, because it's not about being inadequate. If it's something that can help make the process easier or faster or better, why not do it? It doesn't mean that you're not enough. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it. It's just something that adds an additional sensation to the experience.
Now, I know we are having such a great time just talking about sex and everything that's going on, but I want to make sure that we do get to the different types of intimacy because, like we said, people get caught up on intimacy equals sex. So we
Mhm.
kind of talked about emotional, but I kind of want us to talk about like physical. We always think physical means sexual. And
Right.
so when you brought up that physical touch, how do I want to be touched? Kind of elaborate on how you can have physical intimacy and it's totally separate from sexual intimacy.
Hmm. Right. So when we talk about physical intimacy, obviously sex, we all We know that one, right? But
Mm-hmm.
any type of touch can be intimate. So when you hold hands with someone, we're not just going on the street and holding hands with everybody.
That's right.
We don't do it. So that's an intimate thing. It's something we do with the people that we are close to, right? So any type of touch can be intimate, as long as you go into it with the intention of really experiencing it. Because sometimes too, we don't really pay attention to those little things. So like if we're cuddling on the couch, maybe
Mm-hmm.
we're watching a movie. That's physical intimacy. That's something
Yes.
that we can use to kind of foster a greater closeness, a greater bond. Sometimes we don't pay attention to it because, oh, this is not sex, or it's not sexual, so then we don't necessarily think of it as being intimate, but it is. So if he walks by and he grabs your butt, or like caresses your shoulder, or you grab his arms when you walk by, like all of those things are intimacy. And especially like skin to skin, it's good for babies,
Yes.
but it's good for
Yes.
adults too. We need that too as humans. We need that closeness, that skin to skin. So it doesn't have to be sexual. It could just be you laying in bed, or you sitting on the couch cuddling, just being able to feel the warmth of the other body. All of that is physical intimacy.
Oh, okay. Do you is and I know you said all of that, but is that the same thing with public displays of affection, like when you walk?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question. It says, why some females do not like when a man show affection, like rubbing and touching all the time.
That's, I mean, everyone's different. I can give you a few examples of why they might not like it. So maybe they have a past history of trauma or abuse or something like that that makes it uncomfortable for them. And maybe
Yes.
haven't talked about that before. So maybe you don't know, or maybe they're not connecting the dots as to that being the reason for it. So it could be just like a past history, maybe not necessarily abuse, but maybe they've never grown up around an affectionate family.
Yes.
So they don't know how to do it or how to accept it. You know, those people who don't know how to accept a compliment because they're not used to getting them. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. They're not used to someone touching them all the time. So it might be a little weird for them to sit there and accept that. Like they don't know what to do,
Yes.
they don't know how to act. It could also be that maybe they don't like the type of touch that they're receiving, and maybe they are scared or don't know how to express that to you.
Right.
Yes.
Um, and it could also just be maybe they're dissatisfied somewhere else. So sometimes when we're feeling disconnected from a partner, we're not happy in a relationship, we don't really want to engage in it. And touching and rubbing is a way that we would have to engage. So
Right.
maybe we try to avoid that. So there's a lot of different things that it could be.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So
So
I hope that answered their question.
yes.
Yes, and so I like the physical part of it, and we've already touched on the mental part of
Yeah.
intimacy. And how does when from a spiritual point of view, what does that look like? Is that just when two couples or the people with it, they're just like going to church together, praying together, that whole thing where you pray together, you stay together. It's when you talk about spiritual intimacy, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so those would definitely be examples of that. So anything that you guys can share that is outside of body or mind. So if it's going to church, if it's praying, if you guys fast and you guys practice specific traditions related to your religion, or even if it's just more like you're a spiritual type of person, you believe in the universe, astrology, if you do meditation, all of those things, if you're sharing those together, so whether that's just kind of like talking about it, sharing your ideas, going over stories, like studying the Bible, or if it's sharing the experience of let's sit, let's meditate together, let's hold hands or hold each other, and
Mhm.
we meditate together. And that's kind of what tantric sex, I don't know a whole lot about how to do it, but I know like the most basic parts of it. So tantric sex is or tantra in general, because it doesn't have to be sex. It's just that spiritual connection, the breathing and feeling the energy. So it's more so sensations that you feel, not only just within the body. So all of those things, it can be the spiritual intimacy, the spiritual connection. Um, it's definitely fostered through kind of that shared experience.
Okay. Yeah, I've never I've heard of it, but I've never known what that is. It sounds like some kind of cult type sex to me. Look, you can keep that all the way over there. So exactly what is it for people like me that don't know what that is?
So it's kind of like how I can kind of conceptualize it. It's kind of like meditation. It kind of brings you, if you kind of focus on your breathing, you focus on your body, and just like relaxing completely, like stepping outside of just yourself and your usual thoughts and feelings, and really just kind of connecting. Trying, usually when you're doing it with another person, you're sitting so that you guys are intertwined. So it's essentially you breathing as one. So you're experiencing the breath and all that it does to your body just alone. Like you relax, it calms down your nervous system, it makes you feel good, relaxed, open. And when you're doing that with another person, it just heightens the experience because
Oh,
you're both feeling that together. And so it just really brings you to the moment. And the more mindful that you can be, so even if it's not tantra, if it's mindfulness or any type of
That's exactly what I was going to. I was thinking that reminds me of when you talk about mindfulness.
mindfulness, yeah, just focusing on the moment and focusing on what's happening, because a lot of times some people don't experience pleasure or happiness because they're thinking about everything but what's going on right now. So maybe I want to do so much more in my life, maybe I want to make sure my rent is paid and this and that. I'm worrying about all of these things that I'm supposed to do, instead of focusing on right now. If I just focus on this moment, I'm with my person, whether we're just hugging, whether we're having sex or whatever else that we're doing, I need to focus on just this moment. And the more that I can do that, the more that I actually feel what's going on and I can tap into it. And it probably most likely I can tap into the pleasure of it, which heightens the pleasure that I experience. It just makes it more intense.
okay, okay. So,
And they also have couples yoga as well.
Mhm.
I've been seeing a an increasing trend with couples yoga
Yeah.
as well. So that's another way that people are trying to connect spiritually as well.
Hmm.
because I'm not too versed with this, there's no physical, there's like no penetration or anything like that. You're just sitting with your partner and you're like in the yoga position, but you might be entwined and you're just breathing together with one with
Well,
the
it progresses to penetration or whatever else you guys like to do, but you don't have to do any of that in
other.
order to yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So would you say that that could be like for somebody that has suffered from maybe some abusive, they may be rape or something like that. And some women and some men, because men can be molested too,
Mm.
right? They might have, like you said, these blockages that keeps them from enjoying or being really intimate with one with the other. So doing the tantra types thingy or the couples yoga meditation, could that help a person that's a survivor of that type of abuse actually come to the realization of real fulfillment and satisfaction?
Yeah, I definitely believe so. And I'm a rape survivor myself, and I have utilized mindfulness to be helpful for me because I was told by my husband that I used to dissociate during sex. Like, I would not, like, he was like, I feel like you're not here. Like, I would just kind of like blank out and just be there physically. but I wasn't connecting spiritually or emotionally in any way because I would tap out because of that trauma. Like my body would just tense up and remember the trauma. And it wasn't something that I was consciously doing, but I had to consciously work to change that. I had to consciously work to heal. So definitely mindfulness. And one of the easiest ways that you can do mindfulness is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. And if you want to practice mindfulness or you want to just learn about what it is, I would suggest looking that one up because that's the easiest, it's the quickest, and I think it can be the sexiest way to do it when you're trying to be intimate with another person. It doesn't really ruin the mood, and it shouldn't ruin the mood anyway if your partner needs a moment, but that's a way that you can do it that makes it like safe. You can calm your body down because your body does go into that stress response when you're triggered if you have a past history of trauma. So just being able to calm yourself back down, relax your body. When your body's relaxed, it makes it easier for you to clear your mind and for your mind to relax.
Mhm.
And then you can focus on what's going on. So that's the, like I said, mindfulness, focusing on that moment, focus on what you feel in your body and what you feel, the connection to this person. And that's when you usually experience the most pleasure.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, thank you. So, what is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method? Because I'm ready to go into control. Remember, Janet just said five. Control.
So it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is when you use your senses in order to kind of count down. So when you do 5 things that you can see. So like when you're in the moment, that's why I say it makes it kind of sexy. So like 5 things that you see, whether that's in the room, things about your partner's body, your body, whatever is going on. 4 things, I always get it mixed up, but it's either 4 things that you hear, but like you go through all of
Have senses.
your senses. So like 4 things that you hear. So like 4 things that are going on. 3 things that you can smell. 2 things you can take. Like you go through all of your senses, and that's how you. And the reason I say it's like sexy and it's still in the moment because you can use their body, you can use your body if you guys have toys or ice, different sensations, you can add that in, and that way you can involve your partner in it and they know that this is something that you're doing to relax yourself, and it's still something that's fun and it's cool because they can like touch you here and you can
Yeah.
like really tap into it. So that's why I suggest that one usually.
What happened? Something happened to the sound.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello.
I think they
Abel.
can hear us.
We can't hear Shamari.
I'm
Hello.
not sure. I can hear her.
Can you hear me?
I can't say something.
Hello.
Okay, now we can. I don't.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. It kind of went. It dropped for a minute. We had a moment of. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, because you kind of faded out for a minute. You were talking about ice and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, so you can like kind of add other things in too, so that kind of helps with the sensations and really identifying those things. When you change like temperatures or you change pressure, that kind of shocks the system too. So that kind of helps your body to kind of not necessarily get rid of the trigger of the trauma, but it definitely helps to snap your body back, so that you can kind of pay more attention to what's happening and you can kind of take back that control. Because a lot of times with the trauma and the triggers, like I said, I wasn't doing it purposely, but that's like just the natural reaction that your body goes into. So you kind of have to really snap out of that and like do something or see something, have your partner remind you, and be open to them reminding you, as long as you guys have an understanding prior to, like maybe there's a specific word or a phrase that they use to help you and you guys can work through it together.
Right, and I understand this association. Um, it, and some people don't understand that that's a very real thing. Where when you've
Hmm.
been through something in your life and it scars you, and you try your best to heal and move, but something can't trigger you, and then your body just shuts down
It's
because
totally down.
when the offense was being was happening to you, you had to shut down just to get through the offense. So later in life, when that thing happens and it triggers you, your body, you will disassociate, you will shut down because that's how you were able to cope. So
Yes.
yeah, so that was a really good thing. Oh, I see Mr. Scott is back.
Yeah, I'm on the camera, right? So
Yeah.
I have a question. So, with all that in consideration, what are some things that you could suggest for men to do to and accommodate those type of traumas and situations so they can have a healthy understanding, even though it ain't progressing as fast as they would expect it to because of the injury. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
not their fault, but they're suffering in the moment, and
Yeah.
most people aren't trained on what do you deal with this. You know what I mean? We're like, okay, well, I just thought it was going to be a simple thing of us connecting, but now we didn't unpack all these bags, and
Right.
here we are with this trauma, and I love you, but I don't know what to do with it.
That's
Right.
right.
Oh, that's a whole word. My husband will tell you. He's like, it was a whole struggle, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy for the person, obviously, who has gone through this, and now they're having to deal with it. And for a long time, I was very angry because it's like I'm dealing with this. This is like years later. It took me years to really kind of work through it successfully because I didn't even say it happened to me for like 5 years. I never told
Yes.
anyone. So like I was affected by this for so long, and I know that this person probably never thought about it after that day. Like I was so angry, and that held me back from working on it. So if I suffered, but once I brought my husband into it, he's now suffering for something he never even did to me. He's experiencing the effects of it, and he had nothing to do with it.
That's right.
And sometimes there were things that he would do that would trigger me. And I would be like, that reminds me of this. And he would be offended because he's like, I'm not that person. Like,
Exactly.
I have to suffer for something that I didn't do. And it's very much not taking it personally and being able to kind of detach from that because there are things that you will do if it's a sexual assault that they've experienced. If you want to have a sexual life with them, there's something that you're going to do that that person that hurt them also did. And you just have to accept that if they tell you that in that moment that's something that was a trigger to them, you just have to accept that it has nothing to do with you, but the way that you react to them can very well paint the picture of your relationship. If you react harshly and defensively, that can now make them put you in that same category. Now they feel like they have to protect themselves from you too. So just very much not taking it personally. I recommend anyone who has any sort of trauma, and even if you don't, counseling services definitely to help you to work through it because we anytime you go through anything, it's more helpful to have someone to go through it with you that knows how to go through it. So it's amazing if you have a supportive partner who wants to do everything to make sure that you're okay, but they cannot be everything. So making sure that you have support, and I would also say that the partner needs to be getting some support as well
Yes.
because they have their own feelings. My husband was very angry for maybe a while, not necessarily at me, but at the situation. Like, damn, like I hate this person. I never met this person, but the fact that they did this, now I suffer. So just making sure that you have support so that you can work through your own emotions because you're not going to be able to say maybe how you feel 100% of the time. So if I'm reacting to a trigger, you can't be like, well, I don't care about that because that's not me because that's just going to make it worse. So making sure you have an outlet to make sure that you can process through that because it's not fair to you. And it's okay to feel that it's not fair because it's not. But if you want to be with that person, then we kind of have to figure out what the communication is going to be, what the boundaries are going to be. And it might not always be that way. Now, I don't really feel triggered very often at all. And so things that maybe I said I will not allow him to do before are things that are not even an issue now. So just knowing that it takes time.
So yeah,
Did you notice any particular healing factors through the process where your husband was able to say, okay, well, me just being super understanding and patient and overwhelming and just, like super kind and, or not even trying anything in a sexual nature? Did any of those type of things help you get through the experience together?
I think that over time there has been a lot of kind of changes in the way that we interact, but I think that initially there was a lot of that defensiveness because he's like, because at the time when we met, we were like 22 years old, so we were very young. He's like, yo, I never had to deal with this. Like, I never had a girl who had issues. Like, I never had someone that I could not please. I never had these issues. Like, anytime I was with somebody, they was in it and they was paying attention to everything I was having. They were having a great time. And it's not that I was necessarily having a bad time, but I was just,
there.
I just wasn't there. So,
You were working through things, yeah.
so initially he was very defensive because like a lot of men pride themselves on like I know what I'm doing. I never had any issues, and so when they are faced with that, it can be very hard to process through those emotions. But the more that he kind of understood it, like I said, it has nothing to do with you, and I don't expect that you will understand that right away. But if you want to be with me, then unfortunately, that's something that you kind of have to deal with. Just like I didn't choose to be raped, I don't want to have to deal with this. I shouldn't have to deal with this. So it's very similar, but the more that he kind of softened to that and kind of understood, like, yo, we both want the same thing ultimately. We had a lot of conversations about what we want our sex life to be, what types of things that we like, and just what we want for our life in general, like our values and just what we want to bring to the world. We're in alignment. So it's not me against you, you trying to prove anything to me or me trying to prove anything to you. We're on the same team.
Right.
So when we got to that point, like we're both working together to fix it, that's when it went much quicker. And this like over years, obviously, before we got to that point, because like I said, we were young, very stubborn. But if you can get on the same page and work together and know that you're working against the issue, you're not working against each other.
Right. Teamwork make the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say,
Thank you for that. And
yeah,
No,
thank you for sharing,
That was awesome.
and God bless you. And I know how hard that had to be for you to discuss from one survivor to another. Okay,
Mhm.
so I appreciate your being transparent and open about what it is because I've learned some things here tonight just listening to you. So when you work with people, when you counsel people, is it hard for you to counsel other women, or it might just even be all the easier because you know what it is that they're going through, and you can always help them from, once from another optics of it. Where some people that may not have been through something traumatic like that, they could never even understand what one person,
Right.
what people go through that have been abused in that manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
think that initially, like when I was learning to be a therapist, excuse me, so in grad school, that's when I first even was able to verbalize that this happened to me. I was 17 when it happened, but I went to sleep, I woke up, and life was like it
different.
never happened. I never said anything. No one ever asked anything. I like nothing. So in grad school, that's when I finally was able to verbalize this and express like, oh damn, this happened. So once that happened, like when it first happened and I didn't work through anything yet, I just admitted it. It was very difficult to work with other survivors because I hadn't worked through it myself. So it's like, not that I like felt like I would be phony because I would professionally know what to say. Professionally, I know what to do. I know how to handle this as a professional. But I didn't even work through my own stuff. So I can't say like I know how it feels to be on the other side because I didn't get to the other side yet. But I think that now that I have worked through it and I do feel like I have more control of my reactions, I have more control of my behaviors. Even if I feel triggered, I am able to work through it to where it doesn't affect me on the day to day the way that it used to. So now not hard at all. And that's kind of why I decided to do the relationship and intimacy coaching, because not only do I have the professional experience, I can help you and I can tell you what the books tell me I'm supposed to say, but I've been there, I've done it, I've been through it. So I know what you're experiencing firsthand, and I know how hard it is firsthand. And I know what the process is, so I can hopefully help save you some time in working through on your own.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because when you talked about grad school, I think that was the first time that I had to attend an experiential group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they make you
Yep.
address your junk. And the
Mm-hmm.
same like you, that's when I was able to reveal and expose some of my junk, because it's easy for us to mask. So when we had to do that, and the reason they said that, and I understand why you said you wanted to wait before, because we will spill over. Because I remember when I was fresh and I was new, and before I had ever told anyone things that happened to me, like me being raped or molested or any of those things, I remember how sometimes what they would say would trigger me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to make sure that I didn't go to a place with them in the session where they really were healing me while I was trying to heal them.
Right.
So it is a very fine line, and you do have to make sure that you deal with that. And I'm glad you're at the place, because you are awesome. You are awesome as you are talking to women, making them aware of what it is to be in an intimate relationship, even after you have been violated. And so many times, and people can go to different extremes. You could not want sex, or you could have sex all the time, because you're just going to make sure that you are the one in control of all your sexual experiences. So I
Yeah.
think it's so good to be able to horn it all in and bring people back into a healthy, safe balance of what it means to be intimate, whether it's sexual, physical, whatever, but what it means to be intimate and be able to really embrace that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Are you muted? I
Yeah,
can't.
I was. I was saying, awesome, and I wish you were close because I would just give you a hug right now. A
Hmm.
real big hug, you know.
Hmm.
Big, big
You.
hug. Yes, yes, because you're just amazing. And I thank you again for sharing. I know that had to be hard. And we're all survivors, so we all know what it is.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so but are you gonna do your thing for me a little bit? Okay, so I my daughter is going to sing a little something for us if y'all don't mind. But she's very, very shy, so you will hear her, but you won't see her.
Okay. And
Okay.
before she gets started, I want to tell you, I think we should do a part two where we really get into building the
Yes.
intimacy.
Yes. Can we get you to come back? How about that?
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
schedule? How about in 2 more weeks?
2 weeks. What day would that be?
That's the 30th.
30th.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Yeah. The 30th. I mean,
Ah, part two.
maybe. Mm-hmm.
Part two. Okay, there it is. Because do
I
you already?
personally would love a part two because I think there's a lot for men to learn from the things that women endure. And, just even through my walk through life, I've experienced a lot of women that have been victimized in that way. And it's unfortunate, it's unbelievable, but that's our society that we live in. And, we still have to love on these women and these queens that have endured this and bring them up, and let them know that they're still valuable, still loved, still beautiful, and nothing has been taken from them, then it wasn't their fault, But most men are not educated or even equipped or sensitive enough to life, let alone something of that nature. So I think a lot of men need to be educated on a real one-on-one basis where they're listening to someone that has endured that, came through that on both sides. Like you were talking about you and your husband, it's a mutual thing because just as much as you suffered that, now your pain is gonna come on to someone else if it's not dealt with properly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even when it's dealt with properly, there's still a process for that whole trust factor to build all over again.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure trust was a major thing for you. Like, okay, you know what? I just, like Sean was saying, people do go to either the extreme or where they just don't want to even be involved with it, or they're super promiscuous.
Right.
So to be able to hone it in and keep your sanity and be able to build a healthy relationship and build your life upon that is an
Mhm.
awesome thing. So I thank you for that testimony, and I really applaud all of you ladies and any woman that has ever been traumatized with sexual abuse or any type of verbal abuse or any abuse whatsoever. You are not alone, and there are people that are out there that have experienced what you have and will relate to, and it can help you, and men as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think I'm gonna be trying to take your course because there's some, I'm yeah, there's some things I want to try to resolve. So I'm gonna have to look into your course.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have everything that's in it are things that I've done or I've gone through, and I really pieced it together. So that even if you haven't gone through trauma, so it's for everyone. But I think that it can be especially helpful for people who have things that maybe they haven't really fully worked through yet.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So are you ready? Okay. So uh, I'm going to. My daughter's going to sing Adele. What's the name of it? Thank you for my love. No, I'm sorry. Make you feel my love. I wish she would let me put her on the camera, but she's so shy. And turn it down some, please. Well, go ahead, go ahead. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there is no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I go hungry, I go black and blue. I go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. Just look, please come closer, come closer.
The storms are raging on the rolling sea, and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. Nothing like the air. I can make you happy, make your dreams come true. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of earth for you to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love.
Thank you, Mama. Yes, thank you, baby. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm turn the lights back up. Look, we had it all damned in here. All you can see it. We got the disco
Creating the
lights
atmosphere.
going, right? We got the disco lights going. All of that. What any? Okay, so we've gotten a lot of comments. This has been an amazing show. And I just want to ask anybody if they have any questions. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. We'll answer your questions. And just make sure you join us on April the 30th when Miss Shamari comes back, and we're going to talk more about this. We're going to get into how to build it. We're just going to just let it flow.
Yes, the factors of intimacy, everything.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, what somebody said, she hit it on the nose. Yes. It's just, yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. And I'm in awe. And I just, again, I want to thank you. You are an amazing woman. And I have so much respect and admiration for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me
Thank
and
you for coming.
inviting me on your platform.
Yes. Yes. Sean, you have anything you want to say?
I think I've already said it. I want her to come back, and
So we can just get into the building.
Yeah.
so we can get into the, because we actually just touched the surface. So
Yeah,
I want you
gotta get
to
big.
come back so that we can just get into the real nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess so. Just for as a preview. Okay. Uh, when you say build intimacy into a relationship, what are we talking about? As far as like, is it the emotional part of it? Is it from the sex, or is it the whole gamut? Is it everything? It's a
So it's
building.
gonna include everything because I mean intimacy is just closeness. So
Yes,
any way that you can be close to a person, so whether that's emotionally, whether that's mentally, physically, obviously we talked a lot about that. So there's a lot of ways that we can feel close to somebody. So I'll give you some tips on all the different types because some people maybe they don't want to have sex and that's fine. So we'll talk about all the things.
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay. Well, until April 30th.
Mhm.
yes.
We will say good night. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and participating.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you all for coming
Yes,
out and doing the hour with us every other Saturday when we're here. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to grow and being able to provide a platform for people to be able to give little nuggets that may help them along the way. And that's it. Abel, you have something you want
thank you.
to?
Uh, I I just want to thank you, ladies, for another phenomenal show, and I want to thank Shamari for all of her transparency, and all of you for your transparency. I'm walking away. I'm just like I'm really going to need a couple of days to unpack all this information and really deep dive into it, so I can absorb into it and never, um, take advantage of a situation that someone might have been already abused in already, and you never know what you're dealing with when you're talking to someone. So you got to be sensitive what you say to people.
Mm,
So thank
absolutely.
you. So I thank you for your presence, and I look forward to the show too. And trust me, I'm gonna have a whole heap of questions from guys. So prepare
Yeah,
yourself.
no, I love
Okay.
that. Yes, yes.
Guys got
Bring
a
it.
lot of questions and a lot of things
Mhm.
that they don't know, and I would love to, introduce that to the platform. And we look forward
Okay.
to what you got to hear, what you
So,
need to say.
oh, I'm sorry. Our viewer Siobhan said thank you, and she looks forward to the follow-up episode.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. If you ladies have anything else, if you're ready for me to take you out.
Take us
Take us
out.
out.
All right. Have a blessed weekend, everyone.
And
And
happy Easter. Well,
Happy
happy Resurrection
Resurrection
Sunday. Yay,
Day.
resurrection. Let's get
yes.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Is it over with?